Hey, Leah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to look at your website and give you a little bit of feedback. Before we get started, I thought it would help to give you just some info on who I am and how I hope I might be able to help you and give you an overview of what we're going to do. So, my name is Tara. I own methodicalblogger.com. And my background is I got my doctorate degree in education. I specialized in writing, rhetoric, and composition. And one of my research topics that I focused on was on website usability, the design of websites, how it can inform other people, and how to design it in such a way. And I've owned multiple websites, and it's just a topic that I love talking to people about and giving my 2 cents on. So I'm going to be going through your blog, and I'm kind of doing this real time. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want you to get I want you to get a sense of the user experience, right? Rather than me perusing and finding the answers to questions and coming to you with a polished answer, you're kind of getting it real time so that if you see me having a hard time, finding your blog focus, then that's probably something that could use some work. So I'm going to do this for 15 minutes. Actually, I'm going to do it for 13. I'll set a timer. And then the last 2 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you some next steps so that you have a solid plan in place on, okay, what should I work on first? Because I might offer quite a few suggestions and it might feel a little bit overwhelming, and I definitely don't want you to feel that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to share the screen so that you can see what I see. And let's go to your website. So the first thing that I want to address when looking at a site are just first impressions. Overall, I really love your font choice, how very bold it is, very clear. I like the clean design. I know people are in different camps in regards to this, but in my opinion, the ad like you have here at the bottom, it's a little intrusive, right? Sometimes ads, when they block things like this, I kind of feel like how you might feel when your vision is blocked just a little bit. And in my opinion, when a user comes to my site, I don't want them to feel uncomfortable or have any kind of discomforting thought right away. And of course, right away, my first instinct is like, I want to get to stuff. How do I get rid of this? And in my opinion, I don't want my user to feel that way. So that would be one of my suggestions is if you're, especially, I would look and see how much you're getting from that particular banner placement. And if you're not getting much, I would consider removing it because yeah, it's too much. But I also don't love when the pop-ups happen on a page that says subscribe to my newsletter and get this. Those bother me too because I am a get to the point kind of person. Just get me to what I want to see. So that's one thing. But I really love the overall look and feel of this. Next up is what is the central idea in the audience? I feel like you really address this by saying, building happier law enforcement marriages and families. I think that you make that so incredibly clear here that the reader just knows. And I this is silly, but I love this line here. And just design-wise, I really like the design of this. I love that you emphasize happier and it really pops out. So I think that's awesome. As far as color, I think that this pink here might be a little too light, but that might be an aesthetic choice. I'm curious if the pink is the same color as what you have for your newsletter bar up here. It almost seems like that bar is a little bit darker, and I think that might work a little better with your overall logo. The next is looking at your theme. We might address that a little bit later. Let me see how it works. I mean, overall, right now, it looks good. In some cases, people like to feature main content right at the start page. It looks like you have more of the blog design style, right, where people can see multiple topics. It's a lot of information to take on the first page. I might recommend a landing page, or maybe is there some place on your site where you really want law enforcement people in law enforcement families to start? Is there some resource that you have that could really help them? right off the bat. One of the ways that you can do this, let me show you my blog. At Methodical Blogger, one of the things that I have is I have this front page that just immediately might address a concern that they might have. So I don't know your niche as well as you do, but is there something that they're struggling with that they could really use a resource from you? So they have the option to get that, or they have the option to just kind of enter the site. So you could do that if you really think that what you have available for them could help them, okay? But overall theme looks good so far, but I might address it in a little bit depending on how we move around on things. So next up, I like to look at the About page. So clicking on this. First of all, I love your social share. This is what I use too, and I just think it's so clean and simple. As far as your photo, it's so cute to see your smiling face. I would probably see if you can get a little bit more polished of a professional photo. I love the blue. But you know, the background is like not quite white, you know, and if you could white that out, you might even be able to hire someone that could white things out. I was able to get it on Upwork for pretty inexpensive, where they were able to white out a grayish background. So you definitely could find someone who could do that. I don't know you in person, but would you say that this is what you look like? I mean, you look beautiful, but it's always nice to make sure that your About Me photo really reflects who you are. And so if your people are like, oh, you know, you look a little different than normal in there, your smile's not the same or whatever, that's really important to take into consideration as well. But I really like that you have the photo right at the outset. I love that you have the blue in it. Totally goes with your color scheme. I think that's awesome. I love that you share your feelings here. Marrying Batman. I love that you show how you are trying to find answers here. I really like you sharing your background. That's really good. One resource that might be useful to you is if you go to my blog, it's loading right now, there is an article on creating an About page. Let's see. Important items to include in your About page. So we can just compare this list with those. So your mission, and this is kind of what I would want to talk about, is having your mission be really obvious, right? You kind of get to it here, but maybe something when you start off, like, if, you know, let's see, being married to a cop can sound pretty scary and overwhelming. You know, I want to help you with that. Something right off the bat, right at the top, that shows them what your mission is. So I think that really helps. This is one great quote from Neil Patel. He says, your About page doesn't have to focus completely on you. Sure, it can include your personal story, but it's wise to focus on how you solve a problem for your readers. So I always recommend start with the problem that you're going to solve and then move into your own background story. I think that often helps. This is an example from one of my blogs. Is right at this top, I share my mission, a couple photos of myself, and then below that I have, you know, kind of my paragraph, my blurb about me and my experience and how I got to that place. So this is another quote from Melissa Griffin. When the right people visit your page, like, you want them to know it. You want them to immediately realize that it's created for them. And it's oftentimes hard for people to see their story in your story. So just start with their story. Your blog focus told in an image or images. So maybe some kind of officer or law enforcement images to have in there. A call to action. Let's see if you have one here. I love how you show where to start. I think that's great. Possibly, I don't know yet what your mailing list is, but it might be nice to have mailing list. But I do like that you give them where to start. That's a kind of call to action, right? The different outlets for readers to get value from you. You kind of cover that at least in this regard. You give them really important articles. Your name, isn't that funny? A lot of people forget their names. Let's see if you did it. You didn't have your name. Isn't that funny? I did the same thing when I was looking at mine. I was like, my name isn't on here. So you'll want to put your name on there so they know who they're looking at. A photo of you did, a little bit about you did. Another thing is contact information. So I think I used the WordPress contact option just at the bottom of the page. And that can help. Maybe it'll help. Let me show you my about page just to give you, this is at least Methodical Blogger. So I right away talk about the mission. I talk about the problem for the reader about how blogging can be so confusing, right? I have some resources. So I have my checklist for launching a blog. Then I kind of show them the different outlets they can go. Do they want to go to services or newsletter or whatever? And then a contact form. So in here, I talk about what I love and what brought me to that place with getting my doctorate. And I probably could tell my story a little bit more, but I didn't. But yeah, those are my recommendations for your about page. Okay. Let's move on to your menu. So looking at your menu, just looking to see what dropped down. Okay, you only have one drop down. Okay. I think that overall, your, at least based on what I've seen with your vision, everything falls into place. I'm just curious about the guns one. Concealed weapons. Yeah. So the only thing here is it's like, it's one of these is not like the other, right? So it's hard to see where that fits in with being a law enforcement family. I mean, yes, law enforcement officers carry guns, but you're the family. So that one kind of stands out. And so it's kind of distracting because my brain immediately goes to that, like, well, wait, what? But I would assume this is about, being in a law enforcement marriage. This is being a family with a law enforcement family with kids. And then the home is kind of in the middle. I would probably move that to the beginning. Now you have me wondering what's on mine. Yeah, I guess I don't have a home button. You click on the logo. So I wonder if people actually use that home link. If so, I would put it here and then have start here. It's a tough one though. Or start here and then home. Something like that. I really like that you have the start here though. That is something that at ProBlogger, I don't know if you follow them, but they have that as advice. It does just take the person to the about page. You might want to consider looking at other options. If you look at ProBlogger.com, let's check this out. I believe it's ProBlogger that has it. Yeah, look, there's start here. And it's a little different. It has a video, which videos are really good on websites. It does look kind of like his about page. It says start here. But he also has like resources on that page, ways you can get help. So I guess it does go to the blog about page, but it doesn't look like he has an about page. So, I mean, you could always eliminate one of the, the about page. I don't know though. I think for blogs, it's nice to have that. So maybe keep that as is. Sorry if I'm saying this in real time, but every blog is different. But I definitely think that the home is hidden. And I definitely think that the guns is a bit of a sore thumb. And is it in line with your mission? And if so, like how to weave that in a little more fluidly. Cool. Favicon. So the favicon is this like tiny little logo that appears when your tab is open and in a different window. So this is cute, little heart. I just don't know if it fits with your vision. When I see your site, the image that stands out to me is this plus sign. So I don't know, maybe a plus blue or something like that. But this graphic, I don't think I see anywhere else. I like that you kept it in your site's colors. That's super good, right? But it's a little hard to tell what it is. If you need help with that, if you go on my website, there's actually an article that walks you through how to create a favicon, and I kind of show you using, I think I use PicMonkey for it, and I just walk you through step by step how to do it. So if you need help with that, that's a great place to start if you wanted to revise it. So it just kind of shows you how to enter what sizes work best and how to get it transparent and all that jazz, okay? All right, next up, looking at just your homepage overall, we kind of addressed that. Oh, there's our timer. We kind of addressed that, but one of the things I'd say is that the images feel a little cluttered, just a little, like there's just a lot of words. that I'm reading, and I wonder if it's the font choice and if there's a way to simplify that. I mean, I love your font up here in your logo, and I'm wondering if you would benefit from having that font in here to have more of that clean, crisp design that's easy to read. And then just using the cursive as an accent color, kind of like how you did happier, right? Using it as an accent rather than multiple words. Hey, you're in a bullet journal? I love bullet journaling. I am like such a nerd when it comes to bullet journaling. I think I just published an article a couple weeks ago on that. Awesome. So the other thing is sign up incentives. So let's see, 7 things happy police wives need to give up. That is a very compelling free option. I'm curious your click-through rate for that, because that seems like an incredibly compelling option. I love that. So good. Yeah, I really like that. I'm curious to see if you have it. Okay, so here's another opportunity for you. You could be embedding these in your posts. So you can have kind of a, I don't know, interruption here that says, hey, sign up for my free news, or I wouldn't even say newsletter. I feel like nowadays people don't want to sign up for a newsletter, right? If you just say like, oh, get my free guide, and have some kind of image or graphic, because look how long I've been on your site and I haven't really paid attention to the fact that you have this, even though that's like right point blank at the top. I would have it embedded. So I don't know what mail service you use. I use ConvertKit. And let's see if the ConvertKit, you can add something like this in that can look really professional and a nice way to do this. I have the Divi theme by WordPress, and I can get you a link to that. And that allows me to have these multiple column formats, which is pretty neat. And that allows me to embed the ConvertKit. So I can give you the links to that. I love ConvertKit because I can easily embed a really nice polished form, and it syncs up in the back, and it also lets me send that document. And I can actually send multiple things. When I used MailChimp before, I can only send one particular thing. If you do ConvertKit, you can try different free options and see what works for your people, or have different options based on what your article is. Perfect. So let's really quickly look at the sidebar. So I don't know how your ads perform, but if it were me, I would definitely put this lower, because you want to showcase your stuff first. You don't want someone to come to your site and have it just look like ads, right? People tune that out now. This is prime real estate. This is what's called above the fold. Above the fold, back in the days of like newspapers, it's, when you see a newspaper displayed, you see what's above where it's folded. Well, on the blog, this is above the fold. And you're using that above the fold space for other stuff, when perhaps you could do this. Oh, you probably have ConvertKit. This looks like ConvertKit. So I would embed ConvertKit mid-post and at the end of the post. And you have an image here. I would probably have some kind of police graphic on that image just to catch people's attention. And then I love that you have the popular posts on here. I think that's really helpful. And if Facebook is where you're most active, then absolutely that would be what you put here, otherwise something else. And yes, I would move everything up and move this banner down. And that is all we have time for. So if I were you, trying to think, like looking at your site, if I were you, what are the next steps? Definitely the home thing. I think that's the biggest issue, is the home, adjusting that. And then I think that the other next step is polishing up that About You page, the About page, to really focus on what you want the user to get from it, okay? And making that abundantly clear. Gosh, I want everything, right? It's hard to pick it, but they're all easy fixes. So I'm like, okay, you could do that. You can move down the ads. The ads issue I would probably address, because it could come across, I can't pick, I'm sorry. But it's not that much. The font, consider the font change for your images, the ads thing, the home page, and just making sure that that menu item is clear, and your About page. Those are like the priorities that if it were me, that's where I would start. But overall, I really love, I love how clear your mission is. I love how clear your mission is. And it looks like your articles truly address those needs. I would be intrigued to know what your community is like, because I would think that you would have a wonderful community surrounding your blog. But overall, love it. Love the branding, love the coloring. The tweaks that you have are so small, right? You could totally do them. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions, let me know. I will link to you some different resources that I think could help you with getting started. And thanks for letting me check out your blog.